We are at shul.com, the Surfside Kolel Boker, and we are reading the Hafetz Chaim's Kunteras, Ahavat Yisrael, how to love your Jewish brothers and sisters. We're reading Perek Bet, Bo Yevoar Ad Kama Magia Avon Shel Sinat Chanam Ba'ad Kama Hikbidat Bo HaTorah. How far is the Avon, the sin of hating another Jew for no reason? And how much was the Torah makpid and strict on this? Ita begemara Yoma Tet Amud Bet. Mikdash Rishon Mipnei Maharav. Why was the first Bet HaMikdash destroyed? There was three problems: Avodah Zarah, idol worship; Gilui Arayot, they had illicit relations; and Shevichut Damim, they killed people. About Mikdash Sheni, the second Bet HaMikdash, Shayu Oskim BaTorah Mitzvot, the second Bet HaMikdash. What was the problem there? They were Osik BaTorah Mitzvot. They had Gimilut Hasidim Mipnei Maharav. Now the Gemara gives many different interpretations, but here in Yoma it tells us Mipnei Sinat Hainam Shayapo, because they hated each other. Lamedcha, to teach you Sheshekula Sinat Chinam, hating someone, a Jew, Keneged Shalosh Avarot, it's equal to Avodah Zarah, Gilui Ararot, and Shefichut Damim. Vehine Anu mitpaladim b'tfilatinu b'bakashatinu. We pray, b'frat b'tfilot ha-musafin, on the tefilot of Musaf, the binyan Bet HaMikdash, that God should rebuild the Bet HaMikdash. Musafim anu al zeh b'chol yom v'yom. Every single day we pray for this and wait for it. Ve'en anu mitbonim al ikar ha'ikuv shel binyan Bet HaMikdash. Uma im haya b'koach ha'avon hamar hazeh shel sinat hinam lachariv et Bet Miktashenu. If hating Jews, hating one another is what caused the destruction. Even though they learned Torah and they were doing Hesed, if it caused it to destroy, of course, having this hate would cause it not to be rebuilt. So we must remove this type of hate from the heart. Unfortunately, this has gone into a level that's really bad. In big cities and small cities and villages and towns, if we don't fix it, we're going to continue being in galut, in exile. And we're going to be responsible on the honor of heaven that is being mibazeh because of our actions. And we're going to explain why is this worse than other sins. There aren't that many sins that a person could do every single moment. It goes, hating another Jew is something that's carrying with yourself every second, every moment. Every time it's in his heart. Sometimes that hate, that feeling stays a month or a year or longer. So the avon, the lo ta'aseh, carries itself for every moment that the person feels it. Just like if there's a sickness in a person's body, there's always a person, if it didn't spread, there's always hope for the doctor to heal it. But if it stayed a long time, it might be too late. It becomes more and more difficult. Same thing is with the soul. Just like a physical body, also the soul. If it stays a long time in his heart, it's almost impossible to remove that hate. Don't let it take root in your heart. He explained in the first chapter that if you have a problem with someone, go and ask them why they did something. Bet. Why is it also bad from other sins? Because it causes him to do other sins. She says, because it causes a person to have mahloket, and lashon hara, and lechidut, and he also has onad devarim, halbanat panim, embarrass people, there's suffering, there's hotza'at shem ra. People make up stories and lies, and it could even be death. Besifri, like it's brought in, avar adam al lotisna, so for the volade lotitzach. Like it said, if a person goes from don't hate a person in your heart, it ends up which is one of the commandments to Lord Tirsach, don't kill. Sheken Ketiv in Devarim Yud Het Dash Yud Aleph, Kiye Ish Soneh Lere'ehu, Ve'arav Lo Ve'kam Alav Ve'hikau Nefesh. If a person hated somebody else and he came above him and hit him, Chen Harigat Hevel Haya Gam Ken Al Yedei Sinat Hinam Shel Kain. When Hevel gets killed, it was because Cain had a sin'ah chinam. Over there, it had to do because of the amount of twins that was born with Hevel. And Cain had one twin, Hevel was born with two. He told, leave aside that the issue of the korban being accepted and not accepted, it was also in regards to the twin that he wanted. It had to do, there was a lot of sin'at chinam there from Cain to Hevel. Every single problem that exists on earth starts because of hate in a person's heart that is unwarranted. Look how far the Torah went. Okay, what is the senseless hatred? If a person says to his friend, if a person says, lend me your kardumcha, it's a shovel. Amar lo, love. He tells him no. Lemachar amar lo. The next day he says, magalcha. The next day he says, lend me. Says here your scythe. Okay. Amar lo helecha ve'eni kemotcha shelo hishaltani. So he says the first day he asked for a shovel. The guy tells him I don't have it. So the next day the other guy asked him for something. He tells him, yeah, sure, you can have it. He goes, I'm not like you. I'm better than you. You, when you come to asking me, you don't give me. When I come to ask you, I give you. Zohi netira. That's asur of nitara. Lo tikom lo titor. Hare hazinan. Now, what will be lo tikom? Lo tikom would actually be to take the revenge and say, I'm not giving it to you because you didn't give it to me. Titor is you gave it to him. You just shoved it into his face. Hare hazinan. The af shemashil et ha'hefesh shemebakesh mimenu. Imrak amar lo eni kemotcha shelo hishaltani. Hu over alav the lo titor. Because you said that because you were hurt and you had a sin'ah in your heart, and that's not allowed because you can't take you can't have nikama, and there's also lo titor. The person who didn't talk with his friend for 3 days because he's upset at him, nikra soneh. It's a person who hates him. It means you hate your friend in your heart. And you cannot be a judge on him for whatever reason if that came up. Ben Rabbanan or Ben Rabbi Yehuda, according to rabbis and according to Rabbi Yehuda, Ayin Sham, in Sanhedrin Kaf Zayin Amud Bet. V'hine matzui me'od ben anashim shelif'amim bishvil sichsuch davar katan sheya benehem. Sometimes because it's such a small argument, yesh lahem tar'omed ze al ze, they end up having claims on each other. Af shesin'ah gimra ena nir'et benehem. But if you look at the two people, they don't look like they hate each other. You see them, they'll shake hands, Shabbat Shalom, but the guy hates him. They hate each other. They don't want to hang out with each other. They're what we would call respectful to each other, but they really hate each other. But this type of behavior is a hater. Allah, he's over on the lab. Don't hate your brother in your heart. Something so small, sometimes it can be sometimes a small little thing can cause a tremendous sin. What comes out of this, to be very careful to fix this, that this is the source of why we are in Galut today and why we have not all returned to Israel and have the Beit HaMikdash and the Mashiach You have to pray to God to remove the sin. It's a feeling, it's an emotion that could be removed, and there are tactics to remove it. Don't let the hate of people come to your hearts. And not your hate to them. And that is the end of chapter 2 on the Kunteras Ahavat Yisrael. It's interesting, we're learning both the Kunteras Ahavat Yisrael to love Am Yisrael, which we need right now with what's happening in Israel, with the Hamas and with the terrorists that have gone in and kidnapped and killed hundreds and hundreds of Jews, something that's unprecedented. There's two things that are needed: Ahavat Yisrael, to remove Sinat Yisrael, and then more importantly, also learning Torah, learning Hilchot Lashon Hara, and of course Kedusha. We know from Bilam told us that Elohechem Zimah Soneh, that God hates the Zimah, He hates people that are lax in Arayot, and He hates Obdei Avodah Zarah. And it's seemingly what happened, what we're hearing now is that there was some form of a party on the border of Gaza where Jews and Goyim came together, and from the videos that I've seen, there was a form of Avodah Zarah, of a Buddha that was there, and they were dancing around it, even if the people didn't even care about that statue, if it meant nothing, if it was just a prop that had no value, it's still asud. We didn't learn all the Hilchot Avodah Zarah, but I know it's asud because with Baal Peor, one of the forms of the Avodah Zarah, Baal Peor, was when they would defecate in front of the statue. And it said in the Mefarshim over there that when Bnei Israel did it, they got punished for it, but they said seemingly that they were doing it like out of silliness and laughter, that it was almost like stupid in their eyes, that it had no value. But even with that intention, the act of doing it and being around it and with it was such a great sin that Moshe had to be buried mul Baal Peor, that every time Am Yisrael ever did an avon of Avodah Zarah like that, or Arayot in that sense, which was the cause, an effect of it, the Baal Peor can go up to the Shamayim, Vebi Mekatreg, and Moshe was buried right next to it, so that every time this avon would happen, he would go and defend Am Yisrael, even in his passing. Baruch Adonai Da'olam, Amen v'Amen.